After all the years of everything and everybody that we've met in this business, doing what we do, whatever, my wife looks at me and goes, "That's how I know you've made it." It's like, oh, this does feel comfortable. And then it gets to the point to where, like, when you ride the high of the show and then you're coming down after that, like, I just played 2 hours and I'm jacked up. I don't want the high to end. What do? You start drinking and doing drugs. I didn't. I was so angry. I was so mad when I wrote that song. I was broke. Me and my wife were barely getting by. She was pregnant with our first one, who's about to be 15.
Yeah.
And, I knew I didn't want to do the Nashville thing, and I couldn't compete with the Texas thing, man. I've talked to Randy and Wade and Stoney and Cody and all these guys about this through the years. You know? Like, I couldn't compete with you guys, man. Like, I wasn't a Nashville guy, so.
Rodeo Time Podcast, because it's rodeo time all the time. Matter of fact, we've got new styles that have dropped on rodeotime.com or in a Cavender's near you. So check out rodeotime.com or walk yourself into Cavender's, Boot City, old son. We got Cody Jinks coming at you. He is very unique in his sound and also his mindset. It's great to hear his story and some behind the scenes of On the Road with the Hippies and the Cowboys. So let's hear from Cody Jinks. And before we do, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Ranch Fuel, for bringing you this podcast, as well as American Hat, Total Feeds, Rock and Roll Denim, Mountain Op Supplements, last but not least, Can-Am Side-by-Sides. Now, let's hear from Cody. We're big fans.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks,
11 albums over the years?
I guess.
Something like that?
Something like that, man. Yeah.
But the most recent one is Change the Game?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that one. Tell me about Change the Game. Let's start there.
Change the Game is I'll be 44 this year. And, man, so it's my first 43 years, and I was drunk 24 of those. So it's a chapter, man. It's a turning of a page. It's such a they're all the records they're all mine. They're all unique. They're all special in that I lived the majority of the content on that. This one was realizing that I'd hit, was going into my mid 40s, knowing that I knew way less than I thought I did about anything, and about being a husband, about being a father, about, I had all kind of weird stuff happening, man. I went through kind of like an identity crisis when I was 38 or 39, so a few years ago. Imposter syndrome, like severe stage fright. So like, I'm as crazy as anybody else is. We're all nuts, So, I'm sorry. It's still early now. But, yeah, it's recognizing that record as a whole, I think, is just recognizing that I have a lot of work to do, and, being thankful I made it out of a lot of the stuff that I got myself into, and have lived long enough to correct a lot of the stuff that I've really screwed up.
Man, it's crazy to think the word just, like I get the imposter syndrome kind of, and you being nervous on it. Seems like you're such an innovator in the industry. The fact that there would even be a moment where you think something like that is wild to consider.
There was a time period of probably about 5 years I didn't do an interview. I made as few appearances as I could. You didn't see me unless I was on stage. I didn't call into radio stations. I didn't go plug for promos. I didn't do any of it. I didn't want to. A lot of that time, man, I was just messed up, and I just played.
Did that make people want that type of interaction even more?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So now it's funny because, you know, after I, you know, cleaned myself up, and went back to just my first love and my first drug, which was music, you know, now I'm doing everything, you know, I'm talking with everybody and really having a good time with it. And I had to get over a lot of social anxiety and learn how to do those things without drinking. And, man, I've been in bars since my whole life. I mean, I've been in bars my entire life,
right?
Really. And, you know, so yeah, man, still learning, but, it's fun to do I don't feel like I'm making up for lost time, but I just feel like maybe I didn't know myself for a long time. So now, you know, I've kind of gotten to know myself a little bit better, and maybe I like this version, and like, it's like, hey man, I'll let the people see that it's not just the guy with the, you know, the heavy songs all the time, you know, you know, like we do a bunch of funny stuff now. Like we're doing a bunch of content. We're having a good time out on the road. Hell, you know, half the band and crew's completely sober now. So, yeah, you know, what else we get up early and drink coffee and think of stupid stuff to do online.
Right. Well, the game, I guess, has changed a little. Like you now have a lot more control over that type of, you know, messaging. You know, you get to make your own content, where maybe in the beginning for you, the radio spots and the interviews were all there was to do the promotion.
Yeah, because that's just what you do, I guess, in this business. And, you know, there was a time we thought that, you know, radio tours were the way to go. And just, you know, do you have to do those things? I don't know. I guess not. Does it help? Sure. Sometimes. Depends on what outlet or what exposure you get or whatever, you know, but I don't know. It's all pretty calculated. You know, managers are very much of the mindset of what can I get my artists to do? How much can they do? Will they do? And remain comfortable. You know, you don't want to burn your artist out. But now that, you know, I'm unmanaged, I have day-to-day management that, you know, work under me and make sure my business is taken care of. But in terms of having a firm or a, you know, a big one, you know, I decided to go without, and I may have one of these days. Again, I may not, I don't know. But as far as the content that is released now and the things that we're doing now and some of the things that I'm saying yes to now are, you know, a lot of my former management, it protected me from a lot of that. There was a lot that I didn't know about that. It's like, that would have been fun, but I was on the road so much that I don't care to do it. So there was just a big, you know, I'm not on the road as much now. So a lot of factors have changed, and we really want to show people that over the past 20 years, you know, we're not as, I guess, as serious, or we're really not quite as enigmatic as I think that people think that we were, just because you don't see us on CMAs or ACMs or Grammys or anything like that. We're playing with those people. We're playing the same venue those people play. We're you know, doing the same things they are. We don't go after the limelight like they do.
Hey, while you're listening, check out rodeotime.com. The brand new styles, a deal you can feel. Text me the words special offer to this phone number. I'm going to do it real slow. 940-353-0890. I'll text you a deal you can feel. And whenever we have things pop up, that you can get a special offer for rodeotime.com, the brand new apparel that just dropped. Oh, and thanks, Ranch Fuel, for bringing you this podcast. Well, I got some questions. They're not necessarily rapid fire, but they can be.
I love these, but sometimes I get long-winded, but go ahead. So if it's rapid fire, I can't guarantee you anything.
This first one, somebody asked this, or I saw it on a meme, but I just thought it was interesting. If you order food standing up, are you tipping?
Oh, okay. See, I do have a problem with that because I was a server for so long. If it's one of those deals, like if I'm sitting down and I'm an over tipper. So if like you're serving, this is not rapid fire. If you're serving me my food, like chances are, if you're a good server or you are halfway friggin' decent to me, I'm probably going to leave you like 100% tip.
Dang.
If you are standing up and you just take my order at a register and it says, $1, $3, $5 tip or whatever, they guilt the hell out of you, and I'm probably going to hit the $1 one, and I hate that.
Yeah.
But I would say I don't want to, but I do.
I do. I like for them to see it. Like I want them to know, like, hey, take care of my food. Because you're tipping. Because in my mind, like I'm tipping before they've touched the food. If you sit down, if anything, it might be more important.
Well, actually, I'm glad I'm tipping now because I never thought of it.
Like essentially, I feel like this is just insurance on making sure that, like, because they're judging me before they touch my food. If I'm sitting down, that's just my thought.
It's valid.
Yeah, if I'm sitting down, it's almost reactionary. Like, oh, he wasn't.
What do you think people did taking your order before they had the option for the tip? They just didn't get no tips.
Correct.
They just lived with it.
But I feel like, man, I've got a cool job.
Yeah.
Like a bad day in my job, I feel like is going to beat their bad day. And It's like, I owe it to this. Like, I'm going to give this person some extra money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's just my take on it. I don't judge people that don't.
I have I tell both of my wife and I both were in food service, and I tended bar, everything, man. My wife and I both have told my children, we want you to be in the food service industry.
Yeah.
This is a side note for tipping, but you need to definitely, whether it's fast food or sit down restaurant or I don't care, man.
You just got to spend some time there.
You got to learn. You learn a lot. My son's like, that's easy. I'm getting a job at Brahms. They have ice cream. I was like, go get it, buddy.
Touche.
Go get it, bro.
Give me a description of your most redneck relative.
Oh, dude.
Somebody popped in his head right away.
My whole freaking dad's side popped into my head, man. Oh, God. I can't even narrow that down. Dude.
Somebody inspired that beard.
Let me tell you this. I'm just going to tell you this. I'll tell you this. You can go with it where you want. I'm the first person in my family to graduate high school.
Oh, man.
On my dad's side.
Yeah.
Not my mom's side.
Right.
But yeah.
There you
go.
So
I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good rapid fire answer.
Yeah.
What's the wildest animal you think you could domesticate?
I think a wildest animal I think I could domesticate. Well, I mean, if you like, you're not going to be able to like domesticate like a cobra because it's still a snake.
Yep.
If you had like something huge, like a big old buffalo or an elephant.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
like I think you'd have a better shot with something like a buffalo or an elephant.
Yeah.
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 Maybe something like that.
Only because I know out of all the mammals, I feel like I know the most about a horse. So I think mine would have to be a Mustang, which is kind of a boring answer. Sure. I like an elephant better, but for somebody that like is not like, most people are not going to walk up to you can't walk up to a wild Mustang anyway, but yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
Most people, like those things will kill you.
Right.
So most people wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, that's true. A WWE wrestler that you would want to back you up in a street fight.
In a street fight, not a real one, like a real one, like a real street fight.
Street fight.
Oh, WWE wrestler. Okay, I'm friends with a lot of these guys.
Okay,
so I know a lot of them.
Yeah,
but I don't know Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
but I would say Brock Lesnar because based off of what I've actually heard,
Well, he did cross over.
seen, and I mean, I would say, and that's probably just the scariest freaking human being alive. Look at the guy.
He's also got a scary name.
Everything's scary.
Brock
Lesnar.
and
he's got a dagger the size of a sword tattooed down him.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say him. He's actually not one of my buddies, but
I'd want to see which one has maybe done the most time. Yeah. The Undertaker.
he's a nice guy, man.
That's what I've heard.
He's a super nice guy. Actually, that's a funny story. My wife goes, I knew you had made it whenever
People call him the Taker.
Taker.
So they shorten it up.
At the
Taker.
If you go to an event, people walk up, they're like, hey, Taker. And he's like, hey.
Yeah.
You know, it's
He's
really funny.
I'm supposed to go on his podcast at some point. I'm really interested to see how that goes. But
We were at a WrestleMania, and I was standing there talking to Taker, which at that point, the first time I met him, I didn't realize, dude, I kind of big leagued him. I didn't mean to.
yeah, just high-hatted him.
He walks, the first time I met The Undertaker, dude, he walks into the catering room and there's a whole table of wrestlers sitting there and me.
Yeah.
And
that Cody Jinks
so
over there?
I need a booster chair. There's these giant humans and he walks in, dude, and it's like everybody is on their feet, standing up, and he's making his way, like he walks in the room, like everybody's up. Taker, hey, how's it going? You know, and he's working his way around and he gets to me and I can't stand up because he's right behind me. And it was Luke Gallows. He goes, hey Taker, man, this is Cody Jinks. And I was like, what's up, dude? Like, I can't stand up. I was like, I can't stand up. But The Undertaker's behind me, and I was like, I hope I'm not being rude.
Yeah.
And like all this is going through my head at the same time, you know. Anyway, shake his hand. So the next time I see him, I'm standing there talking with him and his wife. It was a different event, and Steve Austin's knees are real bad, so he takes a golf cart everywhere. So here comes Steve hauling ass like under the stadium in this golf cart, and sees Taker and sees me and just comes over. It's like, Jinks, I didn't know you were here. And I was like, yeah, man, you know. So me and Steve Austin and Taker are standing there talking, and and I was like, all right, guys, I'll see y'all later. And we walk and we go get our seats, and I shit you not, after all the years of everything and everybody that we've met in this business, doing what we do, whatever, my wife looks at me and goes, that's how I know you've made it. Like I was standing there talking with The Undertaker and
that impressed
cold,
her.
you know,
that
like,
impressed
that was,
her.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You just have like a fascination with WWE wrestling, or
Dude,
what?
I've loved wrestling my whole life, man. And we did the Outlaws and Mustangs video in Dallas at Adair's, and I was wearing a Sportatorium shirt.
Yeah.
If you look at that video. So I was giving Dallas a little head nod. My dad took me to see the Von Erichs there.
Wow.
When I was a kid. And so if you grew up in the DFW area in the 80s, Channel 39 had wrestling on Saturday nights, late night wrestling. Yeah. And that was me and my dad's thing, man.
That's wild.
And so,
see, I just had that question down. I didn't even know that about you.
Yeah. And dude, Jake the Snake just sent me a message the other day. He's supposed to be at a charity event. Like Diamond Dallas Page texted me the other day. Like, these guys are the coolest guys because I can relate to them because they're the old school guys. They were the troubadours of what they did.
Right.
It wasn't like it is now when those guys were doing it. So we swapped road stories about when we were poor and, you know, going town to town like you guys in the circuit, you know, and doing 100 events a year versus doing 50 events a year versus, you know. And I met Jake the Snake when I was 16 years old, and he signed something for me, and it still hangs in my office. He was so genuinely nice to me, and I thought if I was ever famous, I was going to treat people like Jake the Snake did.
Dang.
And now he texts me and shit.
Dang. That's awesome.
Yeah. And being able to like share that story with him is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not your own, what's a band that you would love to hop on stage and be the lead singer of?
Dude, if I had any of the talent James Hetfield does, man, it would be Metallica. I would have said living, it would have been Merle Haggard.
Yeah.
But Merle and Metallica are my two favorite bands ever. So that's why you get, I guess, a weird mixture of what I am, I guess. But yeah, dude, just those front men that are so dynamic in their playing as well as what they can write and sing. You know, those guys they're unicorns, man.
Yeah. What's the most redneck upgrade you've made to a car?
Bro. Dude, you should see some I got working on at home right now, man.
Yeah. Like yesterday.
Yeah. Dude, I've
almost drove it here.
Redneck thing I've ever done to a car.
Yeah.
Man. That's like asking me, like, what's your guilty pleasure? Like, what's your favorite band guilty pleasure? Most people make fun of you for. It's like, I don't have none because I'm proud of all of it. Redneck thing I've ever done to a car. I don't really guess I've ever done anything to a car overly redneck. Man, I've had some piecers that I just knew I had to limp along. I spent a lot of time on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Doing some Southern ingenuity.
Yeah.
Duct tape, a lot of duct tape.
There you go.
Like probably just, yeah, a lot of, I don't know.
Duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape. A lot of duct tape. I've duct taped not the trailer hitch, the trailer pin.
Yep.
I was going through Iowa one time and I had to, it was freezing cold. The pin came out of the trailer and it wore the pin down. And the only way to keep the pin close enough inside on the van at the time was we had to duct tape the pin to the bumper. So we used like a whole roll of duct tape just around the bumper. So it looked like our bumper was on with duct tape, but it was really holding the pin in.
Duct tape that's redneck enough.
Yeah.
What fight between Garth Brooks and Tim McGraw, who wins?
Tim.
What band?
I don't know. Garth's pretty thick. He could probably take a punch.
Yeah, he's thick.
Like if he got a hold of you, that's what I told my son yesterday. Like, you're quicker than me, but if I catch you, it's bad.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any formal fight training? Just being on the road.
I carry a gun.
There you go. Okay.
I'm too little.
It's formal enough.
Yeah, I can shoot you.
What's a band you think is due to have a resurgence?
Jason Boland.
Yep.
Man, I just went fishing with my dad, and we were sitting there fishing for crappie, and every time we got to listen to Jason Boland, and he's got to tell me, I just don't see why he ain't bigger than he is. And,
yeah.
Jason's one of those, he's one of my favorites. That guy, I think, is exactly where he wants to be, but what a gem, what a treasure. In 20 years when that guy's probably not playing much anymore, it's going to be one of those people look back and go, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, we didn't realize how special that guy was.
You got a magic styrofoam cooler that refills with one drink. What drink is it in 2024?
For the past 25 years, I'd have told you Miller Lite.
Yep.
It'd have been Miller Lite. One drink. I tell you what, man. Not caffeinated, because I wouldn't be able to just drink that all day. I love the if I'm going, I drink a lot of non-alcohol beer now because I'm just used to drinking beer all day. So the Peroni non-alcohol is probably my favorite. And then if it's just like a soda, probably like Canada Dry Ginger Ale. I don't know, man. Squirt. I'm a squirt guy.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's the biggest animal you think you could take in a fight?
Oh, not a very big one. I'm pretty slow these days. Biggest animal, I was going to say like a bobcat, but I'd get killed because they're these scrappy little guys. Biggest animal. Probably like a a border collie.
Okay.
Because I was trying to think of which of my dogs could whip my ass, and I got 4 that could and 1 that couldn't. She's a border collie.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I was talking to Kid Rock, and he made a comment about hits versus classic music, and how, Picture and maybe it was All Summer Long, but there were some songs like that were never a hit here. Like All Summer Long, he said, was a hit in like 60 countries except the U.S. because he just wouldn't kiss certain people's but his point was that he doesn't chase after the hits. He just wants to make classic music that people love to listen to. It sounds like what you're describing as far as like where you find yourself and the crowds you find yourself in, that might be kind of a vibe that you guys have.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't have any hits, I'm not trying
no.
but I'm saying like your motivation and your drive, it seems like you've always had your own sound.
No, it's very accurate. We don't have hits. Actually, it was funny. I was saying that to some fans the other night. I said, we know every show we have to play. There's 18 songs if you look at the algorithms and the numbers and the charts and stuff like that.
That sound bad, Cole, the way I worded that question.
we know what we have to play. We know our hits.
Right. Yeah.
So we definitely, try to do those type of things. But yeah, look at somebody like Gary Stewart's classic music. But like the best that guy ever did, I think, was a number 2. And I hits, I rarely agree I rarely have agreed in the past with anything like Bobby Bones has ever said, but once he actually said record companies trade hits like baseball cards, I had to.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for acknowledging that finally. So I don't know what's a hit. It's here today and gone tomorrow now.
Yeah. What was it? I always forget. Cody Johnson had an album that was, headed for number 1. And who was the artist that they dropped their album price to like 99 cents? No, maybe Blake Shelton.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Was it? And Cody wound up number 2, and
that's happened to me twice. Both times by Kenny Chesney.
There you go.
Both times Kenny's record was pushed up a week, and I was kept out of number 1. That's happened 2 different times in like 7 years. They just will not let me do it, man. That's the only thing they can control anymore about my career is that they can keep me from having a record that drops number 1.
People just
it's crazy.
The industry just really has it out for people that want to stay independent.
Yes,
it seems like.
Yes,
we were at a little. Not little, but it was years ago, and Cody was playing at a show out in Oklahoma. We were out in the middle of nowhere, and it was taking people forever to get there, and there was a line miles long of people trying to get in the venue, and so we delayed it, and I went over. I was emceeing, and I said, guys, we're going to start about 10-15 minutes late. Blake Shelton is at the gate trying to get in for 99 cents on this ticket, and he's just arguing with the staff, so... That was my public joke about it, but I thought it was funny. No, I feel like you guys paved your own way with a unique sound that people have just latched onto. And I was telling somebody that you were coming on the podcast, and they asked like what kind of music. And I just found myself trying to describe your sound, and I just felt good that it wasn't just a quick answer. Like it's like Cody Jinks is his own sound. It's not like, it's obviously not Nashville. It's got, this outlaw sound to it, but then it's also got, it's obviously country music, and you just kind of have a unique sound that you've stayed true to all these years.
It's evolved. It's still evolving. Our band has been together. Most of the core of the band has been together a long time. So we've grown together as musicians and as writers and composers, and You know, we love making music together, and we you know, my band records on the records. You know, some country music artists, they have session musicians go in and record the records, and not for all of them, but for, I would say, most. And everything is us, man. You know, it's the same guys on stage. So that's our sound. There is much to do with that as I am, but I'll use the word honky tonk, man. You know, honky tonks to me when I was a kid, that was a lot of country, a little rock and roll, and a little blues. And we have a little more rock and roll probably than we used to. Our shows developed more so into kind of a rockin' show with country songs, you know, which is super fun. But we are what we are. We're American. I can tell you that, man. We're American music.
Yeah. Man, I heard just the coolest story. And it's hard for me to just ask you about it without revealing, you know, the punchline. But essentially, Jason Eady was talking about the early days of you guys playing. And he tells this story of you guys playing, I can't remember which bar it was, in the Stockyards every Tuesday.
Longhorn.
The Longhorn. Mm-hmm. I almost said that. And
Longhorn, when the Longhorn was the Longhorn, and not it's changed a lot. You know, this was 20 years ago.
Right. And he said just the early days, there'd be like 4 people. What was it, every Tuesday?
Yeah, every
something?
Tuesday. Maybe 4.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
Maybe 4.
It was usually me and him and the bartender, and it would turn into me and him doing like Merle Haggard songs, just going back and forth. And then the way the windows were situated, you could see the owner's name's Tim, and he's probably heard this story by now or whatever, but we wouldn't play. We would just be sitting there. Oftentimes it would be just me and Jason holding our guitars, getting drunk, you know, and the bartender's there getting drunk, and there's nobody in the bar. And then you see Tim's hat come by on the window. And so you'd see the door open, and like one of us would hit a big G chord. I hit a big G chord and go, bloom, thank you. You know, like I had been in a song, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, me and Jason, we go way back, man. I think the world of him. He just cut a song we wrote. We wrote a song about a year and a half ago together, me and him and Courtney, called Mean Spirits. And I was in my journey of quitting drinking when we were writing that. And, it's a great song, and he does such a better job of it than me.
Yeah. Are there moments like you've brought it up a couple times, so I'm just curious, like what, like as far as like performing, and you know, what was the motivation to quit drinking? Like
that was mental health. Like it was just my kids are getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to recognize that, you know, when you're, you know, kids are smart, dude.
Right.
You know, my kids were getting bigger, but, you know, mental health, just wanting to be better for my family and for my crew. And really all that, it happened at the same time I was taking my business back over and, you know, let my management go. And, you know, it's like, man, all of a sudden, you know, it's like I quit drinking, and I, you know, not consequently or inconsequently, whatever, simultaneously, you know, I was parting way with my management. So it was like, bam, I had a bunch dumped on my plate. All of a sudden I'm running a 30 person crew, you know, 24 on the road, you know, 5 rigs going down the road. Like, boom.
What year was this?
This was last year.
Oh, recent.
Yeah, this has all happened within the last year. Since last April, about the last 14, 15 months, man, like it has been absolutely nuts.
I've
taken everything over. I do all of it now. I have an amazing staff. Don't get me wrong, but we do everything by committee, and we don't have like the management firm saying, well, this is what the firm's doing, and this is who the firm's going with to make T-shirts, and this is who they did. We do it all in-house, man. it's kind of like you guys.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we do everything. We're doing our own merch. We're facilitating our own merch. We're sending our own stuff out. I mean, it's a big operation, man. So,
and that's probably how it was in the early days.
It was on a smaller scale, back whenever our bass player, Josh, and I were doing everything, 17, 18, 19 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing everything. It was just on a smaller scale. And then we went about an 11-year period, had management and grew a lot and are very thankful for all of that. And then got to where it was like, we need to do us again. So, announcing that we were going, really, really completely independent in terms of like, dude, we are on an island completely by ourselves, man. There is zero people doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Man, so it just came full circle to coming back and doing
it. Really, I hadn't even looked at it that way until you just kind of mentioned that, but it's what we were doing. Now it's just magnified.
Well, there's got to be more of, it's got to probably feel like it's more of you. I've had opportunities because the apparel that we do here is, that's our main gig, and there's been times that I've visited the option of maybe farming that out, but it never felt right to me with not having like my finger on the pulse of the business, and I wanted it to be like just a piece of me, and this is small potatoes compared to what you're talking about. But, I think whenever you're the one who's doing, like, for instance, I do my own deals with endorsees or appearances, and I make all those decisions on booths and where and when I show up and how I promote it. And it's got to be just a feeling of authenticity when you're the one that's signing off on everything.
It is very much so, but with that comes all the responsibility, and I've had to learn how to ask for help.
Yes.
That's been a big thing for me, is knowing that, trusting the people that I've hired to help me make great decisions.
Yep.
Which that's been going on all along throughout my career, but now it's me dealing with it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And whereas, a management person or firm might say, hey, let's not do something like that. And I'm always going, I always wanted to do that.
Right.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Fire me?
Yeah.
Dude, I've made it, man. I'm good.
Right.
You're
happy.
We're fine. Yeah. Let's have some fun, man. That's kind of what it's come back to at this point now. I worked for a long time, man, and I was having fun, but I wasn't, I was working and being successful, and that was great. But, fortunately, because we did things the way we did things, we can have fun now.
How old are your kids?
12 tomorrow. My boy turns 12 tomorrow, and my girl turns 15 in September.
So about, they're running and gunning.
Oh my gosh, dude. We just finished All-Star baseball. So we've been in baseball for 4 months. My daughter is in ballet. She's in competitive ballet year round.
Yeah.
Guitar lessons. Both of them are in gymnastics. So thank God my wife can
help you.
Yes. Because she does most of that,
Right.
I'm on the road a lot, especially I'm right in the middle of a tour cycle, man. I got home from Richmond, Virginia yesterday morning.
Yeah. That's what, Logan was saying that you were tied up this weekend.
Oh, we've been blowing and going, man.
So what is your plan? You're taking over, but it sounds like you're not necessarily taking all the gigs. So what's your plan moving forward?
Oh, really?
As far as travel?
Yeah, you're exactly right. We're not taking all the gigs anymore. In the business, they call it get off the couch money. If you've set your tour schedule and then you're like, I'm done for the year. You can set it. And then somebody calls and says, and my agent goes, man, it's get off the couch money. He's got to get a 25-man crew and 5 rigs down the road. And so some things happen like that, but we're at a place now. It's like, get the shows booked. All the band and crew has kids. make sure we know what we're doing throughout the year. We're starting to book 2025 already. We want to know when it is, where it is, and just get it done. And I only want to play. I'm doing 65 shows this year. Next year I'll only do 40. Man. And I'll probably only do 25 to 40 shows every year for the rest of my life.
It sounds exactly like a rough stock rodeo cowboy, to be honest. Like whenever guys are going down the road, you'll have a young bronc rider maybe go to 100 performances or something.
Yeah, you got
and
to be hungry.
He's trying to make the NFR and he's doing all it. But then you'll have, Casey Fields right before he retired in the bareback riding, maybe go to 50, and go to half the rodeos. But he's at a point in his career, he can get into all the big ones. He's going to know where to enter and how to make the most money he can with going to the fewest shows.
Sure.
And
festivals.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
it's
there
the
you
same,
go.
It's the same principle, different practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's funny too, like with rodeoing, like you go to that particular town's party that they have once a year and you go to 2 or 3 of those a weekend. So essentially you're going to 2 or 3 of that town's biggest party, and a lot of times there is music attached to it, and so it's a similar lifestyle. We're not necessarily quite the rock stars that you guys are once we get to the I am, being the world's greatest bull rider, but we're treated just a little different. But each town, each show you go to, you guys are showing up to a party. And I imagine it's probably really difficult for anybody not to let that party grab a hold of you.
Yeah. I've talked with a lot of people that are in whatever business, rodeoing professionally, professional wrestling. Those are 2 that actually we have most in common with. Baseball schedule, baseball players we have a lot in common with. But rodeo cowboys and cowgirls, very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar kind of life, kind of existence. And as somebody that, been on the rodeo side of it, it's just as easy. Everything is right in front of your face. It's all there. It's all the time. If you look for it, don't go looking for snakes. You'll find them.
Right.
I can go find them every day. We can all go find snakes. I've looked for snakes plenty. I don't look for them anymore.
Right.
But, getting caught up in it, man. It was, for me, it was always, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? It was always drugs and rock and roll for me. It was never women. Like I've been with my wife. We've been together since we were in high school.
Mm.
So, that's unique.
That was one headache you didn't have to deal with.
I had enough going on. I've had enough going on in my life not to have women problems.
Good.
I've had plenty of other going on. But it was the drugs and the rock and roll for me, man. That was what, we did plenty of that, that's.
How has it been for the last, year and change, going to a lot of these places that you've been before, but now you're going sober?
Celebrating your firsts of doing anything. Like I took my first sober plane ride when I was 43. I played my first sober gig at 43. Recorded my first time in the studio sober at 43. So like all these little
milestones,
little things, you're like, wow, it's the first time I ever did that. That's been strange and cool, kind of at the same time. So lots of firsts, walking out. Like we're supporting, Luke Combs right now. We're playing for, anywhere from 40 to 70,000 people a night with him. And I'm remembering it. It's like I'm walking out and going, wow. So instead of walking out and going, hey,
it never messed with you, like with remembering lyrics and all that.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I say it didn't, I'd be lying, man. Like we were watching some footage from me from 2015. Dude, it looked like a 35-year-old dude that was strung out and had been on the road for 15 years because I was strung out and had been on the road for 15 years. It looked like I didn't give a shit. I might have gotten most of the words right,
And they probably didn't care.
And it's weird. Now I'm sober and somehow my career is getting better. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what's happening. So it's like going up. Crazy.
Is it? I mean, yeah, it just seems like one of those, like, was there a time where you felt like you had to do that though?
Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, when you're 17, you're the awkward. 18, you're the awkward kid in the bar. You're playing with people that are older than you. It's like, well, just.
But so you felt like you had to do that maybe to feel comfortable.
Well, and that's what you did. Because like it's just what you did because it was there, and that's what everybody was doing. And then it's like, oh, this does feel comfortable. And then it gets to the point to where like when you ride the high of the show, and then you're coming down after that, like I just played 2 hours and I'm jacked up. I don't want the high to end. What do? You start drinking and doing drugs.
Yeah.
Not everybody, or loads of women. It's like that for some people,
Yeah.
So. Yeah, you just want the high to keep going.
Yeah. Because I imagine there's nothing like that high of entertainment.
Right.
Like whenever you can make those 40,000 people just.
Well, if you just went 8 seconds on a pretty rank bull.
Right. You just yeah.
What do you want to go do?
Yeah,
man.
You don't necessarily want to go to sleep.
No. You're going to go, let's keep the party going.
Right.
Not all the time, not everybody, but some of us.
So what are you doing now to essentially like you come off of a show, just drink some more caffeine?
I drink way too much caffeine now. I drink way too much caffeine.
Yeah.
No,
and then you sleep like a rock.
I do. I get up early now.
There you go.
Yeah. I just get up early and I play a show. I meet people after the show I need to meet and shake radio people's hands and stuff like that. And then I'm in bed.
Get your PR stuff done.
PR stuff, and then I'm in bed.
Yeah. The new Cody Jinks.
It is, man. It's very, very boring. It's very healthy.
Yeah.
Very healthy. We have salads and stuff now on the road. It's crazy.
My interns make fun of me. They say I'm pretty boring when it comes nighttime. Like I'm a morning person myself.
Yeah.
But I like to go to bed at night. Everybody says, they don't wake up early because they love sleep. Well, why do you wait so long to go to it then? Because I would argue I love it more.
It's a great point of view because you're wanting to do it faster than everybody else.
Yes.
I was always a night owl, and I am much more a morning person now. I'm not bubbly.
Yeah.
But like I'm up. Like I woke up at 6:30 this morning. My alarm I was set for 6:50 to get up and come out here today.
Yep.
And woke up about 6:30. Like, well, let's get some coffee going.
There you go.
And I'll be in bed. I'm gonna go fishing this evening. I'll be on the water till the sun goes down, but then I'll be in bed by probably 10.
Yeah. Pretty normal.
It is, and it always throws me off because the first night of the tour, like I will have gotten up at like 6 that morning, and then I'll I'll be on home time, and then I'll get out there and be like, man, I don't play till what time? I'm playing at 9. That means I don't get off till 11. That means I got meetings till midnight. That means I won't go to bed till 1 o'clock.
You start doing the math.
Yeah, and then that's gonna mess me up. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm old now.
I'm curious if you knew Hippies and Cowboys was going to be the hit it was when you recorded it.
God, I was such a mess, man, when I wrote that song. No, I didn't. I was so angry. I was so mad when I wrote that song. I was broke. Me and my wife were barely getting by. She was pregnant with our first one, who's about to be 15.
Yeah.
And, I knew I didn't want to do the Nashville thing, and I couldn't compete with the Texas thing, man. I've talked to Randy and Wade and Stoney and Cody and all these guys about this through the years. Like I couldn't compete with you guys, man. Like I wasn't a Nashville guy, so obviously didn't have national support on that, and then I wasn't a Texas red dirt guy, so like you guys were just mopping the floor with everybody and like had the market cornered. I said like I didn't belong anywhere. Like Edie was a part of that as well.
Right.
And like we're all friends with those guys. I love those guys.
Yeah.
And I've played with those guys, and I consider those guys good friends, man. but I couldn't compete with them. So we got the hell out of Texas and started doing our own national tours, which nobody ever does because it's so freaking hard.
Yeah. And and you took off with that song in your back pocket?
Yep. That was one of the ones that
kicked it off.
We were starting to play that song and people were going,
they could relate to it.
They could relate to it. It's for the disenfranchised. We still are. We're still the punks, man. Like we did it punk method. You want to talk about punk? Like, that's how we've done it.
That just kind of an ode to the fact that, you started in heavy metal and just you have always been okay with being different.
Yeah. That's always been our mentality. We know we're different. Like, we're out there singing for the different ones. I wrote a song with Ray Wiley Hubbard and Tennessee Jet that we're going to release later this year called The Others.
Uh-huh.
And it's talking about that exact same thing. Cause like, those are both two very unique dudes and two very unique songwriters. And, I was proud to write the song with him and it's freaking awesome. So we're going to drop that. But yeah, it's talking about that. It's talking about the disenfranchised, man, the night people, the vampires.
What song do you feel like that you have in all your albums that maybe reveals that heavy metal side of you the most?
Probably our most popular song, Loud and Heavy.
Yeah.
I think that one's, if it's not 3 times platinum, it's pretty close. Just that song itself. That's a rock and roll song. Ain't a Train is my favorite song to play live. A song that me and Josh Morningstar wrote together. And that one reveals a lot about me as somebody that's always like I don't sit with my back to the door in a restaurant like I'm in some sort of 1800 Western,
Born Supremacy.
Yeah,
Jason Bourne over here.
Yeah.
Checking the license plates.
So the punchline or the big line in that song is maybe the light at the end of the tunnel ain't a train, because I'm always like, no, stuff's going good right now.
Right.
Yeah. So that one, and I love playing that live, but total rock and roll song.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the start of a music career that not your typical, like you mentioned, Texas country or Nashville guys have. And if it is, it's maybe something they don't want to talk about.
We're all rock and rollers though, I mean, it's all the blues.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Who is somebody else that along the 15 years that has had that same, maybe somebody you went on those tours with? Like, who are some of the other sounds that you felt like was an outsider like you?
We find each other. Most of the people I still tour with, I just did a 3-day run with Whitey Morgan. I started playing with that guy 13 years ago, and me and that guy really didn't even like each other that much whenever we started playing together. But we sit and talk like brothers now whenever we play, dude. We got to hang out the last 3 days together. We never get to do that anymore. We spent 3 years on the road together.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait to not be together.
Right.
And now like can't wait to see each other.
Yeah.
Whitey is one of those. Ward Davis, in this business as a whole, Ward is probably my best friend. I've got my best friends I grew up with, like my bros from way back. The guys that don't know Cody Jinks, they know the goofy kid Cody, with the cowlick in the front, and,
right,
that kid. But it's I don't know. It's a different situation, with both of them, looking at it from different perspectives, how your friendships are unique, but the music ones, like, cause we're weird. Tennessee Jet's a weird one. that I look, he's a musical brother to me, Josh Morningstar. He's a weird one. He's a musical brother to me. These are all weird people, you know, like these are all outsiders, even in the business. These are all outsiders.
Yes, sir.
Sonny Sweeney, you know, I have as much respect for her as I do any artist out there. I don't know an artist that spent more time on the road over the last 20 years than Sonny Sweeney. I consider her a dear friend. You know, there's a bunch of them out there. But as a whole, I got to say, after being in this for 20 years, the community is really small. And most of them out there are super great people.
Yeah.
They really are, man. You know, you've named some people that I've known for a long time or whatever. And, you know, we're all out there. I tell you a prime example. This is one of the best. I saw Zane Williams and Paul Eason from the Wilder Blue, or they were in catering, at the Luke Combs show. It's Haley Witters, Wilder Blue, Charles Wesley Godwin, me, and then Luke. I've known Paul for 20 years. I've known Zane for 15.
Dang.
I remember when Charles was opening up for Ward Davis 5-6 years ago, saying, "Man, you got to look out for this kid Charles Wesley Godwin." I'm like, whatever. You know, now he'll never open for me again. He's too big. You know, so it's you know, seeing all that kind of stuff and watching people come and watching just the truly gifted people stick around and, you know, being in catering. You know, I walked up to Zane the other day and I said, "Dude, our kids are the exact same age. We've been with our wives like the same amount of years. It's just an uncanny parallel, you know."
Yeah.
And I was like, it just makes my heart so happy to see you guys here. It's like, dude, we're still doing this.
Right.
You know, and we've done it together and we've done it separately. And we've all been, you know, all over. And then you run into each other and it's like, man, it's a small world, you know?
Well, I was talking to, I can't remember who it was, but like that was one thing that musicians seem to enjoy the most about festivals is you actually get to see those guys.
Yeah, they're the best, man.
Because otherwise, like Zane might normally be playing on a Friday and then you're playing somewhere on a Saturday and you never get
We
to
have the
be
same work week.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sucks.
You don't get to be in the same spot at the same time, but a festival, and that's what I always MC at a music fest up in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, the skiing deal. And have you ever been up there?
No.
Man, that would be bananas to have you play at Music Fest.
It's cold.
It's cold. It is cold. It is that. Do you like to ski?
I don't. I have horrible knees. I can't ski.
Dadgummit.
I know.
The odds are stacking up against us.
I know, dude. All I'm good for is sitting in a hot tub. That's, you know, I got one of those at home.
Yeah.
No, I've never done it.
Yeah. Touche.
Yeah.
Touche. It is cold. No, man, I've always respected just the lifestyle that musicians live, having been a rodeo cowboy, and you know there are a lot of parallels to just the travel and whatnot. And I when I was in college, you know, I started going to some AMI rodeos and college rodeos, and I got to realizing, I told myself, I don't know, I think that if we can create some likes and dislikes if we tell ourselves something long enough. And so I told myself, I'm okay with driving. I'm okay with traveling. And I kind of pounded that in my head that I was okay with being on the road, you know, rodeoing. And it did help me, especially early on. Like I just began to eventually believe myself, I guess. And that helped me get through, you know, just driving all the dang time.
It's funny that you say that. I was driving in today, and I don't drive anywhere. I mean, really. I mean,
you ride.
I ride. I'm getting rides to airports and getting put on airplanes and things of that nature. Now, like I drive to my mother and father's house and see my sister and to my in-laws and things of that nature. But you know, I'm in the air most of the time,
right?
And I can't tell you the last time I was in a truck by myself for an hour and a half driving somewhere. But I knew this would be a beautiful drive, so I was looking forward to it. And when I saw that sign that said Graham, Texas, I had a flashback of like the first 10 years of my career where I drove every stinking corner of Texas.
Dang.
Doing radio tours, playing anywhere and everywhere in any little roadside bar, tavern, cavern, bar room, honky tonk, dance hall. And so much around this area.
Yeah.
I mean, just little fairs and festivals, little county fairs around this area. Hell, there was 3 places we used to play on PK Lake 15, 16, 17 years ago. So just the driving like you're talking about. And back then, I was always on the road. And I was usually by myself. And I can't look back and tell you whether I loved it or hated it. I guess
Really?
I just had to do like you did.
You just knew you had to.
Had to be okay with it.
Jason, that same night, he told the story about y'all playing at the Longhorn. He told a story about going to play in Little Rock. And he was nervous going out there because he wasn't sure if there'd be a lot of people. But miles from the venue, on the edge of town, maybe even the town before, he stopped at a gas station, and a couple there was like, "Oh, Jason Eady, we're going to your show." And so he finishes off the drive thinking like, "All right, this is going to be all right," And he gets there to the venue and gets ready to play. And that same couple at the gas station is the only people at the venue. Like, he just happened to run into them, miles ahead, where he thought the whole town of Little Rock was going to show up. And it's just these 2 people there,
What are the chances?
And I always think about that whenever I imagine musicians grinding it out for their first however many years.
Oh, I immediately thought of Madison, Wisconsin. We went and played Madison, Wisconsin for the first time, full band. There was 4 of us. I was carrying a 4-piece at the time. We were in a van and trailer. I mean, we were broke, it was probably a route gig to somewhere. I don't know what the hell we were doing in Madison, Wisconsin, but there were 4 people there. There was as many people in the crowd as there were on the stage. And I'm not joking. 3 of those 4 people have come to shows past that and found me, like either in wherever it was. You remember that night in Madison, Wisconsin?
Yeah, I don't like to talk about it, but yeah, you can bring it up.
I'm like people they're like, I was there. So those people that were at the gas station for Jason, that's going to be a story they'll have forever too. Every time, we were the only 2 people there.
That's hilarious.
It happens. Those things stick out in your mind, and those are little gifts you get on the road because they're funny. And they make for great stories. And unless you're out there doing it, you don't get those stories.
How many years were you playing before there were no more Madison, Wisconsins?
I can tell you the easiest way to answer that is through the years. I guess I've formulated this response in terms of like, when did you know you made it? I was 36, 37 around that time.
So better part of a decade.
I was on the road full time a decade. We were poor. My wife, we went from being, this is no joke, in 1 year, we went from being 6 figures in debt to having $1 million in the bank.
Dang. Wow. And that was in mid-30s.
I was 37. 36, I couldn't sign for a house that we bought. 37, I had $1 million.
Wow. What was the biggest factor that made that change?
The Adobe Sessions record.
Adobe Sessions.
Yeah.
Wow.
And at that time, my management was doing very, very well for me. I needed it at that time, and it was a great relationship at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 37.
So, okay, so you're rocking along. There's a few Madison, Wisconsins.
We had more than a few of those. We
35 or 6.
We had about 10 years of those.
At 35 or 6, they pop up maybe every now and then. When did you pull up to a venue? I guess I feel like this is much smaller scale. I'm not trying to compare myself to you, but like I'll go to a booth and I'll just think, man, I hope somebody shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And like, at what point did you stop worrying about that?
I was in Bloomington, Indiana one night at a place called the Bluebird, and it's still there. It's it's not Bluebird. Blue Note. No, Blue Note's in Missouri. Anyway, Bloomington, Indiana. Everybody here is going to know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I've been doing this. I'm getting old,
Yeah, blue something.
I was in Bloomington, Indiana. I can tell you that. And we had about 300 people in this club. It was packed, and they cheered in between. It was in between songs. It was right before Cast No Stones or after Cast No Stones. They wouldn't stop. They just wouldn't. It was a truly like raising the roof experience. Like the band just stopped, and we were just looking at each other, and this place was just erupting,
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of those moments that like kind of everywhere we went after that, man.
Really? What year was that?
I was 36 or 37.
Yeah, somewhere in that same.
In that 2016, 2017. Because I've been on the road full time since 2006.
Yeah.
So it's 10 years on the road, and then one night in Bloomington, Indiana, I knew everything was going to be all right.
Dang.
Yeah.
We got a buddy that fights bulls, and
those guys are crazier than anybody.
the ultimate goal as a bullfighter is to one day fight the national finals rodeo. And, you know, you work rodeos and you do some freestyles, but essentially, you know, you try to book a gig at a rodeo, and then, you know, in your small hometown one, and then you keep fighting and you get handy and you book a bigger rodeo, and then maybe one day you're fighting bulls at Houston or San Antonio, and then eventually, like I said, the ultimate goal is national finals rodeo. You're fighting bulls. Well, they only select 3 guys every year, and Nathan Harp, we was talking to Cody Webster about it, and Nathan Harp, I think it was maybe 12 years after, it was either 12 or 14 after starting to fight bulls, he made the NFR. And I've often wondered, had you gone back and told, you know, like how many people, when they signed up to do something, whether it's play music or fight bulls or rodeo or whatever it is, it's going to take you 12 years to accomplish your goal. Like, how many people would change it?
Most. I mean, and that's why most do, you know, because, you know, that's a testament to us late bloomers. You know, I was a late bloomer, and it reminds me of there's a pitcher, a former major league pitcher. His name's Austin Bibbins Dirks. He used to pitch for the Rangers. He's now a pitching coach in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. But we've got to be good friends with him over there. He was in the minors for 12 years. Like, never got called up to the bigs. Like 12 years.
Dang.
And I remember watching his first game on the TV. He was pitching for the Rangers, and my wife and I were watching that game. And they kept showing his wife more than they were showing him, because she was like, she'd been married to him this whole time. He'd been in the minor league for 12 years before he got his first big league call. It was great. He pitched great. It was a beautiful moment and kind of stuff like that. And then getting to know him after having seen that moment and getting to know his wife later. That's my wife. That's everybody's wives, who's like, they've been with you when nobody cared. Yeah. Nobody knew who you were.
Right.
Like, there's the real story.
Yeah.
You know, I just read an article, you know, Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, you know, he passed away a few years ago, and he was a noted drug abuser, but his wife did an interview. She goes, people like crap all over, you know, the family, but nobody knows how hard it is to deal with, you know, people, you know, just like you guys see this and stuff like, it's like, and I'm not trying to compare anybody to anybody. I'm just saying, but like, your wives get none of the glory.
Yeah.
And they get all of the bullshit. They get all of the criticism. Yeah. They get anything ugly about me is projected onto my wife. And so when you finally make it big, so like I was a loser for like the first 12 years we were married.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I was waiting tables at a Bennigan's when we got married.
Wow.
And playing bars at night. Like, you know, like her friends were like, our friends from high school were like,
yeah.
Oh, Cody's still waiting tables at, 25.
Yeah.
And she just had to eat that, and then.
Not to mention later dealing with you being on the road.
Well, not only that, dude, like dealing with like artists and, a lot of people in your world,
Yeah.
We're kind of weird people. We're eccentric. We're moody. We're hard to deal with a great deal of the time. And after you learn these things about yourself, you can start correcting that.
Yeah.
Some of us learn later. I learned late as well. I'm a late bloomer. But, just all the stuff, it's easy when you have success early, I think is what I'm trying to say. It's like, what are you trying to say? It's easier when you have success early in some ways. But, if you have it later in life and it's like, I was married to him 15 years before anything happened.
Yeah, you had to call her after Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and say I played that gig for $50,
and there were 4 people
and
there.
And
so I didn't make money. Nobody showed up.
And I'm hearing, and she's got a baby latched on,
right?
She's got to be up at 6 to go to work in the morning because somebody's got to pay the bills.
Dang, man, that's heavy. It's something that I think probably gives you just the ultimate perspective, though.
Yeah, I've taken it for granted so long, dude. Like, now it's like, dude, I could spend the rest of our lives I will spend the rest of our lives trying to make up for the first probably, 18, 19 years of being married to me. I was gone. When I was at home, I was gone. I wasn't mentally there.
Yeah.
My mind was on the road for 18 years, man. And then I finally learned how to pull my mind off the road whenever I physically came off the road too.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be tough. Yeah. You didn't unwind.
If I wasn't on, I was in the mind. It was always, table, like feast or famine, table, hand to mouth. Like, so we had to go. I couldn't take time off. I frantically worked. So, because for years and years we did everything. I didn't have people helping me book. I didn't have people helping me manage my stuff. I didn't have people, Josh, our bass player, but so I wasn't there when I was there. And I've finally, now that my kids are bigger, I've learned how to be there when I'm there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Waiting tables, Bennigan's, 25. Did the beard help you get tips?
Didn't have it back then. I grew the beard out when I was 29.
Okay.
I've had the beard 15 years, I guess. Yeah.
So around the time of Hippies and Cowboys.
Yeah. About that time, I was just saying, I was about the time I threw both middle fingers up and I was recording the Les Wise record. It was about 09.
Yeah.
And I just was like, you know what? If we're going to fall flat on our face, we're going to do it exactly how I think we should. So,
yeah.
I still have that mentality.
And you still have the beard. Have you thought about shaving it?
I cut it off one time, man. Funny story. I was doing a show in Alabama with Jamie Johnson. We were doing a co-headline thing in an arena. 7,000 people there, and I walked out on stage. I went first, and I walked out on stage. I had just shaved my beard. I was talking about the identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
That was about that time. I was 18. I was 37, 38 years old. So I'd been on the road a long time, but had just been successful. I was drinking way, 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 way too much all the time. And I got drunk one night, and I shaved my beard off because I was having the identity crisis thing, And And my wife comes, it's like 3:00 in the morning. And I'm wasted drunk, shaving my beard off. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I wanted to see my face. And, she goes, what do you think about what you see? And I was like, I don't like it. He goes, you don't like it with the beard? You don't like it without the beard? Like I didn't like who I was seeing. It didn't matter with a beard or without a beard. So I went right on the road after that. I walked out on stage, dude, and there were 7,000 people in there, and you could have heard a freaking pin drop. I walked up to the microphone. They didn't know it was me.
They didn't know who you were.
It was the strangest thing. So I didn't say anything.
This guy sounds just like Cody Jinks.
Well, and I never wear long sleeves. I always wear short sleeve shirts. And for that night, whatever reason, I was wearing a long sleeve shirt and it was covering up my tattoo. Now I still have hand tattoos, but all my arm tattoos were covered up. So I walk out there with no beard and a long sleeve shirt, and I was like, oh, this is funny. Like, it's weird and it's kind of awkward, but I'm just going to kind of roll with it. I didn't say anything. I just sang a song. And they're just sitting there looking. Like, I sounded like him. Does that sound like him? Yeah, okay. And then I sang another song. And then I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I sang another song. And I think after that third song or so, I finally said, well, I shaved my beard off, guys. And they're like sitting there like, what the did you do that for? That kind of look on their faces, And I don't think they know how to take it. So anyway, after that show, there was some write-ups. It was like Cody pulled a from Pure Country,
Yeah.
And I was like, we went, and I was reading this like a day or two later. And I was like, for real? Like, my tour manager was telling me, like, this. I go, oh, for real? I was like, that is stupid. Now, if I was going to pull a Dusty, wouldn't I hire somebody that had a beard?
Right. Yeah. No kidding. Just try.
Well, and I was like, why would they think that? Well, they couldn't see your tattoos. I was wearing a long sleeve shirt. You couldn't see my skin. Like, these people are dumb. So anyway, that was the last time I shaved that thing off.
Yeah. Well, it took you a while to grow it back. So how did the next shows go? Similar?
Yeah.
Just be sure to wear a short sleeve shirt.
Yeah. As long as I had just the t-shirt on, it was fine. No, after it got out, that it was a matter of me having done nothing more than shaved.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it was just the topic for the next however many months. It was like, hey man, you shaved your beard. Mm-hmm.
Well, see you later.
Big gulps. Yeah.
So how does your year look like? What does your life look like at 53, 10 years from now?
Man, that's a great question. I'm starting my 10-year plan now, really.
Okay.
Like I said, we're doing about 65 shows this year. And then next year we're going to try to stay about 40. And then I have to play live. I really do. It still gives me a thrill, and it's still my first drug and
good for the soul.
Oh, I still do it for the fans, man.
Yeah.
I love performing for people. I don't want to be on the road 250 days a year anymore. Mm-hmm. And I'm not. And I'm only on the road probably about 110 days a year now. And we do fly dates. We fly in and out. I fly in Wednesday night. I get on my bus. I go show to show to show, 3 shows. I walk off stage, and I'm on an airplane an hour after I'm off stage Saturday night. And I'm at home in my bed, usually from anywhere in the country. I'm at home by 5:00 in the morning, Sunday morning. So I can do that for 25 to 40 shows a year. I'm writing a book right now. I'm wanting to get into some acting, some voiceover work, try to just do some different stuff. I need to work. I live on a really, really small cattle ranch. We don't have a lot of cattle, but it's enough to just play with. And so I got to be doing something.
You bet.
Creative or sweat equity, like working, doing something, and spending more time at home. My kids are busy, super busy. They're super talented, and they want to get into everything and do everything and be everything. And so their mother is great about, we're signing up for this now. And I'm like, Jesus, that's more?
Yeah.
More stuff. But it's just like, great. They're busy and they're wonderful and well adjusted to everything. So, being a dad, so 53, I can tell you this, my son, who's going to be 12 tomorrow, I told him when he turns 18, his mother and I are gone. Like, bro, like, your sister will be 21 by that time. Have fun. Go do something. Go to work. Get a job. Do something. Like, me and your mom are going to travel. I'm going to take her to all these places that I've been that I want to go back and show her. So
yeah.
We'll be Paw and Paw, man. We're going to be in a motorhome. That's and then I'll come in from the road on the motor. I love to travel. I love to be home. Don't get me wrong. I go home to charge my batteries up, but I love to travel with the family. And hell, my kids have been most of the states at this point by now, but it's usually been with dad on tour. So, and just living, man, traveling, enjoying it. We're still building businesses. Just started our company. We do our own facilitation for our merchandise. So we're about to start taking other bands on. We just got a bigger warehouse down in Austin. So we got a lot of stuff going on. So I want to be able to work more from a phone than a stage.
Man, we usually wrap these up with maybe just some life advice that you've always, in the hardest times or whatever, or just through the years, just circled back to. Maybe whether it's a one-liner or you got to paraphrase it, but just basic life advice you would give maybe an aspiring musician or even just somebody trying to make it.
The Beatitudes. Read Matthew 5. The golden rule is an important one.
You're a believer?
Oh yeah.
How long have you?
Oh man, I got baptized when I was 12.
Really?
But I would go with God, but non-nat, for a young married couple, I would say it's not 50-50, it's 100-100. For a young musician, I would say take every gig, because you learn how to play in front of 5 people, not 500 or 5,000.
There you go. Wow. Yep. You need Madison.
You need to have some Madison, Wisconsins. And
Longhorn Tuesdays.
And some Longhorn Tuesdays for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
How many years should a guy go at it with Madison, Wisconsin every night before he gives it up?
I don't know that you should ever have a plan B. I don't think that anybody who's ever made it in this business ever had a plan B. I think that I could look back and say I probably would be doing this or that if I hadn't made it. But if you ever have a plan B, you're dead in the water.
So you think if someone...
You'll make it some way.
Somehow has that hard work.
If you keep grinding, if you keep doing something, man.
12 years later.
You're going to write one song.
Yeah.
You're going to write one song, man, that really might not change the whole world, man, but it'll change yours. It'll change somebody else's.
I felt early on, Rodeo, I just kept saying, there's no way I can work. If I continue to work this hard, there's no way something won't happen.
I believe that. I truly do, man. I think that in anything, it's work, dude. Do you think the greatest people at anything weren't the hardest workers too?
Yeah.
Do you think that Garth Brooks, the biggest selling country artist of all time, dude, all that guy does is work. The Rock, he's everywhere. Why? He's always working. Taylor Swift, that lady is insane, brilliant, smart.
Yeah.
Totally, like the best at Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes the human race has ever seen, worked harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
Tom Brady worked harder than anybody. Love him or hate him.
Right.
I didn't like him any better than anybody else. The guy has 7 rings, played until he's 45 friggin' years old. Why? The greatest of all time. Why? He worked hard.
Yeah. No, that's great life advice. Everybody check out the newest album, Change the Game.
Yeah.
And see Cody Jinks at a show near you. And go get them while they're hot. It sounds like there's going to be fewer shows, but they're still just the same entertainment that it's always been.
The shows are better now because I look forward to playing instead of look forward to going home.
Yeah.
So the shows are high energy. They're kicking ass this year, man. I'm having the best time doing this I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's crazy that this late in a career, you're more excited to do the thing.
Yeah.
That's encouraging. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to try to help promote the album and keep pushing this unique sound that you have.
Much appreciated. Yeah. Likewise. All the best to you guys. And no, this has been a pleasure, man.
Yes,
I had fun.
Thank you, Cody Jinks. You guys check him out. We're on to the next one. Pow, pow.